Hi, welcome to Open Range. This is the real estate edition for the week on Open Range, and I am your host, Will Gardner. I am a broker associate with Century 21 Morrison Realty, and we talk about real estate topics because the real estate that you purchase is sometimes the biggest purchase you'll ever make, and so we want to make sure we're protecting the most important investment you'll ever make in your life, most likely, outside your business or outside your like investments that you have. So this is really important. It's a key part of your investment strategy. And so today we are going to talk about protecting your investments in terms of what it looks like in terms of the data centers that are coming in. This week I was trying to figure out like what topic we wanted to discuss and what would be on people's minds, and I continuously like, I'm not going to talk about data centers. I'm not going to talk about data centers. I'm not going to talk about data centers. But as the week came along here, I just decided that it is important to get it out. It's definitely on my mind, on my heart. It is on your minds, most likely, and your hearts, and we want to do what's right and best for the community, not just for Bismarck Mandan, throughout the state. And so we're going to jump into that. And so I came up with, as I like to do, my top 10 concerns, data center concerns. And so we're going to go through that list. And I take kind of I'm more of an analytical mind. I'm more of a strategist, so I always want to make sure that I'm thinking about making the decisions in a way that makes sense. I am on the Mandan Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm one of the I guess I can't remember, there's 10 or 12 commissioners, but there's a lot of us. Just one voice in that group, and trying to sort out what's what and try to make the best decision. So I'm going to talk throughout the program about that. We're going to go through that top 10 list, but first I wanted to start with some facts here that I've gathered just through my own research online and looking into this, because this is a very, very substantial project decision that potentially could affect our communities. So let's talk first about what some of the things that I've collected for information. So there's a difference between data centers and hyperscale data centers. And so hyperscale data centers are very, very, very large facilities. And so those hyperscale, it seems to be defined as 10,000 square feet and house a minimum of 5,000 servers. So these are very, very large buildings, very large facilities, and so they come with some challenges that are different than, say, just a data center that hosts some servers for internet website hosting. These are much different, and so we have to take a very cautious approach as commissioners to make sure we are protecting, 100% protecting the people that entrusted us to be in these positions. So that's kind of the separation between the boys and the men here, is that these hyperscale data centers are going to be significantly large. There are about 1,300 globally of these hyperscale data centers, and we in the United States have about half of those. So that is my, and full disclosure, this is my internet research. So as much as you trust the internet, it was from the Synergy Research Group. That's where I found this from. A couple other, these are just kind of facts that I've been learning, and I had gone to two recent town hall meetings in the Bismarck-Mandan area, one in Mandan, one in Bismarck, just listening to speakers talk about the drawbacks and the negative side of data centers. And so the first one was a town hall that was in Mandan at the train depot, and I believe that was about 2 weeks ago from Wednesday. So it was about just after the 4th of July weekend, and that was in downtown. That was at the railroad depot, and they talked about several different topics. They're going to be part of my top 10 when I get to it here, probably in the next segment. That was the one I went to, and then the second one I went to was just a couple days ago. I believe today was the 20. So it would have been like the 21st. It was a Tuesday, I believe, and that was in the Morton County. I'm sorry, the Bismarck public library, the Veterans Library, in the basement there. And both of these events very heavily attended. And I looked across the room, I could see commissioners, public figures, business leaders, all interested in hearing. They all wanted to hear the drawbacks and the negative side of these data centers, because these data centers have a lot to promise a community, and there's some very intriguing, appealing things that help the communities. And so you can't just jump for the candy, and can't just jump for what's you know, the all the stuff that they're dangling in front of you. You got to make sure you are crossing every T, dotting every I, and making sure every part of what's being promised in these data centers is really going to come to fruition, and that all the negative things that are going to happen, that have been said about data centers, that all of those things, that we take care and make sure that those negative things don't happen here, or we minimize those negative things, or we know what those negative things are and are willing to accept them. But all in all, I think what's most important out of everything is that through all of this, it's what we don't know. That's the part that I think keeps all of us you know, concerned at night, is not knowing what we don't know. That's probably the most important thing of everything, is what don't we know? It's the stuff that we know that we can handle, we can attack, we can find solutions for. It's what we don't know. That's the part that bothers us, right? It's not the stuff we know. I mean, the stuff we know we can agree or disagree on, but we can provide solutions. So that's kind of where that comes from. A couple of things about the data centers. The Trump administration has been mandating these data centers and really pushing them hard and fast. And part of it is for the AI race. The Chinese are trying to win the race. They're trying to be better at that than us. That is a problem economically, but it's also a huge problem national security-wise. We can't have our data centers housed in China, right? We're saying, where do we aim our missiles at, AI? Well, okay, I think you should aim it here, right? I mean, we can't have data centers across the seas and not have our own data centers. For national security purposes, we have to have data centers here in the United States. Data centers are not just going to be the ChatGPT giving you some cool recipe ideas. AI is going to have enormous amount of functionality, and whether we like it or not, the rest of the world is changing, and they're utilizing the power of AI and doing some exponentially good things, but there are also some bad things that are coming with AI. And this room, I'm reminded of, as I talk about this, is quite a bit like the internet. When the internet came out, there were a lot of people think, well, this internet thing this bubble will burst, this will go away, and the internet bubble actually did burst in 2000. It got so big, and there was so much hype, so much money poured into it, dumped into it, that in 2000 it just completely burst. And it didn't mean that the internet failed. It just meant that too much, too fast, too soon, it just exploded in growth. And it didn't maybe grow the right way, or it didn't grow in harmony with people's expectations or with what people were ready to do. People were not ready to throw their newspapers away. People were not ready to stop sending envelopes in the mail, and we still don't, to some degree, stop utilizing some of the old technology, the old ways we do things. But the internet didn't stop growing. As a matter of fact, it grew very, very, I say exponentially. It grew very fast. It took on maybe different ways than we didn't really think. And so that's the challenge here, is trying to mesh our future needs with today's, where we're at today. And so we need to kind of, I guess, walk through that and talk through some of that. So that's what we're going to talk about. So like some of the bad about data centers that I've been thinking about, and this is maybe more philosophical, long-term theoretical, we're going to have a time when jobs are going to have to transition, and it's going to be transitioning even more than what we used to. Back in the early 1900s, you probably had a job, and that was your job for life. And that soon changed in maybe 60s and the 70s. There's constant change in jobs over 5, 10 years, 20 years. But now we're getting to a pace now where it seems like AI is going to make us think harder and work harder with our jobs. And the job transitions are going to be more and more, they're going to change so much more for us. So that's going to be one of the negatives. Another thing is that we're going to have less patience. This one really bothers me, is that we're going to probably have less patience for each other as humans. And I'll see this as sometimes when I get home at night, and I do have great kids, but they'll be on a device for 20 minutes. And if they're on a device for 20 minutes, when I start talking to them, I can see they have much less patience for me than they do for their machine. And the machines they're perfect, right? And so now you're dealing with a human that's annoying and has needs and is not perfect. And that's one of the things I kind of lament about. So there's going to be some negative things, but there's also going to be some positive things that AI is going to bring. And so after the break, we're going to talk about some of those positive things that AI is going to bring and some of the concerns we have about data centers. So join us back after this break, and we will catch you on the other side.
That concept of deodorant and the concept of stinky man body, and really putting it into perspective of how you've come up with a product that is going to take care of that day in and day out.
That's right. Absolutely. Took a lot of work, a lot of formulations, a lot of process to make sure that we're making a product that actually stands up to the rigors of what guys do on a daily basis. And, I feel very confidently to say that we've delivered on that experience.
So we're in a time where we're more cognizant about the things we're putting in our body, and really more importantly, the things we're putting on our body. And aluminum has been a big part of deodorant and masking scent and all the different things for a number of years. You pulled that piece that's kind of been that, I don't want to say not healthy, but the piece that people really wanted to eliminate. You eliminated it and still come up with a really good product.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Find relief for what ails you at Steep Me Tea Apothecary. Teas, supplements, tinctures, and more. Formulated to fight whatever has you down. We're Bismarck Mandan's favorite place to find delicious, natural, and easy ways to alleviate symptoms brought on by anything from colds to cancer. Brew a better you at Steep Me Tea Apothecary. Steep Me products may cause side effects, including but not limited to improved mood, deeper sleep, enhanced hydration, renewed sense of smell, increased energy levels, superior balance, boosted immunity, proper digestion, restored sense of calm, and a delightful smelling home.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza.
Welcome back again to Open Range. Will Gardner, your host, Realtor Broker Associate at Century 21 Morrison Realty here in Bismarck, Mandan area. And we are talking data centers. And on this next segment here, we are focused a little bit more. We're gonna hit that top 10 list, I promise you. A couple more facts about the data center. We talked about some of the bad stuff, like the internet, the transitioning from the internet, from no internet to internet, and what that looked like in the bubble. Now the good part of the data center. So obviously there's going to be some things we are not going to even know that are going to be positive. Just like there are some things that we know that are going to be negative that we don't know. But there's going to be some, and so those two unknowns we just obviously can't talk about. We don't know. But some of the good things is that we are going to, I believe, see a lot of acceleration in health benefits. I went to a dentist a couple of months ago, the dentist, for my checkup, and they did a full scan of the teeth. And they said that they have a service where they send some of those dental records in, your teeth, and then you have AI analyzing and checking to see if there was something missed or there's something that the human eye didn't catch. And so that, and then I was reminded of when I went in for a calcium score to check my heart to make sure that I'm still alive. I checked I remember kind of walking past, and I could see through the curtain there as I was walking out the door. They had a video of the fluid in my heart and the blood in my heart and how it was going through. I think that was what I was seeing. But things like that where they could catch things, they catch cancer, anything that's medical that could be analyzed by humans that could look at that. Just imagine the ability. Now, obviously, there's some concerns too about, well, what kind of robots have my health information? Are they going to do something negative to that? I mean, these are all the same kind of concerns that we had when the internet was born. When someone's, we had online banking and people say, I will never use online banking. There is no way that I'm going to access my account through the internet and think of the fraud. There's going to be those concerns, and they're going to be real because that fraud really is happening today, right? I mean, let's not make any bones about it. Fraud is even worse than many years ago because there's so much potential and avenues, and with the more exposure to your data, there's just going to be more fraud. There's going to be more chances that things negatively can happen. So as people, we have to make a decision whether or not we're going to partake in that, and the risk and the benefits in balancing that is really going to be what we're going to have to decide. Let's talk more about data centers now. So there are 3 that in our area, in the Bismarck-Mandan area, that are under consideration, and they're all at different stages. There's the one in Mercer County, and that one is NextEra, so that's a different company. There's the one in Oliver County, and that's Applied Digital, the same one that's in Ellendale. And then the third one that we're hearing about is the city of Mandan has a pretty large one. I'm going to focus on that one a little bit because I'm a little more knowledgeable about that. The one, just before I talk about that, the one in Mercer County, just as an example, is 2,000 acres. That's how large this place is. We are talking a very, very, very large space. The one in Mandan is just to give you an idea of where it's at in the process. So we were made aware of this. I say we, I'm talking to people, but as commissioners too, we were notified about what was happening because I didn't see some of these reports early on, but I guess there was, as my understanding, there was someone running for office and had heard about someone not buying, but having the option to buy a large tract of land in Morton County, but it's within the city limits of Mandan. Or I say it's not in the city limits. It's in the city ETZ or ETA, which stands for extraterritorial zone or area, and that's an area between the city and the edge of the county. The edge of the city, and a line, and it can vary in distance depending on where you're at, but let's roughly say a mile outside it. It's kind of like a halo around the city, and that's kind of an area that is deemed, it is county, and so you're paying county taxes, but it's within the jurisdiction of the city. And so, and many people are probably knowledgeable of this because Bismarck recently actually released a lot of that area on their side of the river. They released it back to the county so that they would have no jurisdiction and out of the ETZ area. So in Mandan, this particular piece of land is in that ETZ area. So we would, there we go, thank you, Mr. Producer. This does have a good visual of where this is at. So now this is 350 acres. It is huge. It is very, very big. And of that 350 acres, I'm told about 175 acres would be used as buildings. So you have 175 acres of buildings. And this is huge, right? Like this is massive. So some other numbers for this. So there's no application yet. This was simply an option to buy. Someone heard it was coming, dug into it, figured out, I think they went to the recorder's office, figured out who the person was that recorded the option to purchase, and then found the name of the company and kept backtracking until they figured out this is what was going to happen. So this company did contact some of the commissioners to tell them what was happening, because they were trying to get the word out, and there's some communication issues with trying to, they're obviously trying to make sure that they have their talking points, right? Whatever they're going to talk about, they want to have that front and center before they announce this. But the cart came before the horse, and so now we know about this data center and potential data center coming. And so some of the timelines are a little confusing to people. What Mandan is planning to do is talk, we've the last year and a half, the Planning and Zoning Commission has been working on updating drafts of our code. This had nothing really to do with data centers. At least that was the way it was explained to us as commissioners from the person in charge of the planning and zoning at the time. And that person's a staff member. That staff member had told us that because the code is antiquated and some of the downtown stuff, that we needed to redo the code. So that was about a year and a half, I think 2 years ago. About a year ago, our planning and zoning head left, and so they hired a new planning and zoning head at the department, and then that planner has been continuing to work with us on trying to improve the code. So fast forward to about I don't know if it was 3 or 4 months ago. It's only been about a month on my radar to where we started hearing about this land that had the option to be purchased, and then from that, now we are discussing in that some of the details of, and we put in a section now for data centers because we didn't even have of course a data center section in there, and so now the discussion now is going to be, what do we put in there to protect ourselves as a community, to make sure that we only have what we want in the code in relation to data centers. And so that's the topic at hand. This coming Monday, the end of our July meeting here is going to just be talking about other parts of the code, not even talking about the data center part. We're going to let people continue to get us feedback. There you go, right down there. Call, text me, tell me your thoughts. We're going to continue to get feedback from the community to listen to see, is this a good thing, is it a bad thing? What should we put in for these for the restrictions and the requirements for data centers? So that meeting is going to be about what we're actually going to do another meeting next in August to solely discuss that topic, is my understanding. And then in future meetings, the applicant, if the applicant does decide to actually put in an application for a data center, it will be later this fall, later in the winter, when we'll probably, is my guess, is when we'll start talking more about this particular applicant in North Mandan. So there's a long timetable here, I guess long depending on your perspective, I think from a standpoint of community long-term development. It probably isn't long enough, right? I mean, it would be nice to have a couple years to digest it, see how this is playing out in other communities across North Dakota, across the country, in order to make better decisions. Because the more iterations we have with these data centers, the more we can decide what's right, what's working, what's not working, then the better chance we have to make even better decisions. Obviously, the coal plants that were originally built, they're way different than the coal plants today. And I'm not in the industry, but I know of clean coal and clean energy, and that has completely changed the way that industry, and think of the change. So the first iterations are going to be more problematic. The newer ones are going to be continuously improved. The question is it going to be enough for us? Are we going to be satisfied as a community with even the best restrictions on there? Do we simply not want it in our communities? So we're going to go over that. The last thing that I'll say is that there are other ways that some people don't, and I agree with this sentiment to some degree. I kind of question, why do we need to have these data centers? In this particular case, why do we need this one in the city of Mandan? And for example, China is actually putting their data centers in the oceans. The whole problem is to keep these machines that are doing enormous amounts of work, to keep them cooled constantly. So there's going to be some questions about why we need to have that in Mandan. So in the city, not in the city limits, is probably something that would be annexed. We're going to talk about that and what some of the promises are making. And then we're going to get to the top 10 list in this last segment. We are going to go through that top 10 list of the most concerns that we have with data centers. Back after the break.
Base Flug Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Flug Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Come on in and experience small-town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car. Whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute, we have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. The Set Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Yeah, U.S. Cattlemen is a member organization that each member has a vote in anything we do with policy. We're representing the independent cattleman or the cow-calf guy or an independent feeder or whatever. We like to support the independent producer. We're talking about mandatory ID, we're talking about cool, we're talking about all the legislation that's going to be coming down with the new administration. There's going to be lots of moving and shaking. So always check us out at our website, uscattleman.org.
We're talking to people today about investments. Let's see if we can get somebody. Excuse me, sir. Do you have a retirement account?
I do. I'm invested in some annuities.
Fixed income? How is that?
It was better a few years ago. Each year, it buys less and less, barely keeping up.
That's where gold can make a difference. Unlike fixed payouts, gold rises with inflation, so you're not stuck with a low fixed payment.
So gold isn't stuck in the past like my annuity?
Don't let inflation erode your retirement savings. Invest in gold. Invest with Noble Gold Investments.
I'm $27,000 in credit card debt.
Okay.
You have to radically do something different, because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Now's not the time to be doing math. The time to be doing math was when we didn't go under $200,000 of debt.
If you are freaked out and you're stuck in these debt payments and you think it has to be a part of your life, it doesn't.
We are Ladies of Another View. Join us every weekday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. as we discuss the big topics from North Dakota, the nation, and around the world.
We chat with everyone from celebrities and medical professionals to politicians, local business owners, and neighbors about the topics and stories that affect all of us.
We are unscripted and uncensored real news from real people. So join us every weekday morning for Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Welcome back again to Open Range. Will Gardner, your host, Realtor Broker Associate at Century 21, talking about the most important investment that you'll probably ever make in your life. It's going to be your home and your property. So, talking about data centers in particular, we're going to focus on the Mandan data center just for this, the one that's potentially going to be applied for. And so, this one is again in North Mandan on the north side. it is north of the Mandan Middle School, high school area, 350 acres, 175 acres of building space. It's huge. We're going to talk about some of the things that they are promising us. And so they are promising 400 jobs. Those will be, and I say promise, they're putting figures out because we don't have any literature yet. We don't have an application. This is all very, very early, very preliminary. But 400 permanent jobs, roughly about $110,000 is the average salary per job is what they're projecting. During the construction phase, there'd be significantly more. So these would be, they figure about 2,000 jobs. I heard from someone else 2,000 to 4,000. When I talked to the potential owner, he had said that the numbers he gave me was 2,000 jobs and 400 permanent jobs. The property tax income effect for the city is pretty astounding. This is why it's so appealing to a lot of people, is that, to a certain group of people anyway, that what's being promised here. Of course, the question is, how do we know that this is going to really happen? How do we know we're really going to get this, right? That's certainly the question. But they are promising $46 million a year in property taxes. To put that in perspective, the city's entire budget for the year is $43 million. So the property tax this could provide could substantially, I don't want to say what it could do, necessarily be replaced. Would the city buy more stuff? Are we going to get tax breaks? I don't know, right? But the numbers 46 million to 43 is that's what everybody pays. If you put everybody that pays property taxes in the city of Mandan, every single person, $43 million versus the $46 million that we're getting, would be getting from this particular project. So that's going to be pretty substantial. So now let's get into my concerns, my top 10 concerns. So I'm going to go from probably the thing that I'm worried least about to the thing I'm worried the most about. These are still things this list, obviously everything in this list needs to be checked off, or we can't build this data center. And it's when I say we build this data center, I'm talking the community is allowing the company to build the data center. First thing is reclamation. So there's some people that are wondering, are we in an AI bubble? And I do think, I don't know if I would want to be on the investment side of this, to be honest. Building significant amounts of buildings when so many other places are also building these, there is a potential problem that the building could be built and created, and then everything is shuttered, and now you have this large facility in town, or yeah, it would probably be in town, and then some of these that are in Mercer County, of course, those are going to be in the prairie, but you're going to have these buildings, and to me, it is quite a waste if that happens. So the question is, what would happen with those buildings? I guess I think of how much need we have in the community for some event space. I've never, with 175 acres of buildings, I figure you probably could have, the entire World Cup played all in Mandan. It's just a lot. It's just a huge amount of space, right? So we do have to figure out what that reclamation looks like. The second thing is water usage, and the reason why this is so low on my list, it is a concern, but the one in Mandan, they're planning to use a closed loop system so that the water continues to circulate and become cooled. It's my understanding from talking to them that it's not necessarily geothermal cooled, it's going to be cooled by electricity that they are going to provide. Now, to me, that was, oh wow, now you're using more electricity to now cool these things. The company told me that, and this is Stark Power, they told me that they are providing their own, this is going to be the third thing on my list is electrical use. They are actually going to be building plants that are going to be generating electricity. So instead of worrying about electrical use and taking from our grid, they're going to be creating their own power generating systems so that they would actually be producing enough electricity, said that where they probably would start exporting and selling back some of the electricity back to MDU. So in terms of the water cooling and water usage. My understanding is at least not a significant amount. I'm sure there's probably some usage, but not too much is going to be used. The water will be come in, it'll be filled once, then that water will be circulated to cool the machines off, and then be circulated back out so that the water can be cooled and then come back in and cool the machines off again. So that's my understanding. Wastewater. So where does this wastewater go? And how much is it? Now, if we have a closed loop system, my understanding would be is then you wouldn't have any waste, or the waste would be minimized. But I'm guessing there's got to be some waste that's coming out of these facilities. How much waste is it? And how much liquid waste, how much solid waste, what is the waste, and how much is it, and where is it going to go? And that has to be spelled out clearly so that we can understand and protect our lands and all the neighbors around us. What if I have a well on my property right next to it, and this wastewater is leaking in? Anytime you're next to an industrial site, just like the gasification plant right next to this, how are you dealing with that? So item number 4 on my top 10. So these are the lower concerns, but there's still concerns. Noise, generators. So I've been told that these generators that are going to be on site, that they have to have there. I mean, there's so many there's so much voltage and wattage coming out of these facilities. They have to have enormous number of generators. And I'm told that each one needs to be powered and cycled through. And that's not something I brought up because I hadn't heard about that problem yet. After going to a couple of these meetings, I heard about the power generating problems. I have not yet talked to the power companies to see, or I'm sorry, the data center company to see what they do with that. But obviously, all those generators going off all the time, constantly. Is it going to be one time? Is it going to be super loud one time? Is it going to be, what is it going to look like? Are they going to be buffered in rooms and concrete areas? What does that look like? And what does that noise look like? The buffer between the homes, what does that look like? And that is probably the number one question that we are asking, is what that buffer zone between the setback between the edge of the property and where they can start building their data centers. Right now in Mandan, just to protect ourselves, we put a half-mile radius, that you can't build a data center within a half-mile radius of another property. That pretty much said no data centers, period. So we were taking a conservative approach on the commission to where we're saying, okay, we're saying you can't build it right now. The upcoming meetings are going to be where we're going to try to decide whether we want, based on public feedback and your feedback, is whether or not we want to start opening up some of those restrictions, maybe peeling back instead of a half-mile away from somebody's property. Maybe it's a quarter mile. Maybe it's, the data center wants 200 feet. That's quite a difference, right? So we have to decide what that looks like. And so your feedback is great to have. In terms of noise, that we've gone over that. The other thing is lights. I just don't understand why you need to have so much lighting and so bright. So I know that there's security concerns and that sort of thing, but that's something I haven't brought up too much with the commission or with the company, but that's a concern. The next one is subsidies, making sure that the subsidies with the company is not really like the infrastructure, that there's nothing for roads that the city's going to have to pay for to get it out there. Really, these companies, they're the ones making enormous amounts of profits. They need to be the ones that foot the bill for this. Going back to the electrical use, that's actually number 4 on my list is electrical use. It just needs to be mandated. Even if you have a power generator on your site, we have to have some mandate that says humans get to have electricity before the machines. And I do not want one drop of electricity go into those data centers before the one drop of electricity for the humans is protected, right? Like you do not take one drop away from our homes. You do not take one drop away from our businesses, nothing at all until you've completely turned off this facility. This facility cannot be taken from us. So there needs to be some sort of teeth that makes that happen, right? Humans before machines. Real estate values. So we need to make sure that we're minimizing the effect of how that affects. If we are growing into some of these rural areas, there's going to be some rural homes that are next to this facility. So we need to make sure we're minimizing that. One thing is that if you are next to that, not next to the city, you do know growth is coming. So whether that's homes or whatever, you are going to have some degradation of value. But sometimes I say, well, on the flip side, it's going to actually help you because you're going to be actually in town. And if you have a lot of acres in town, I love my 2 acres in town, but I never know the next day that someone could build in the 20 acres behind me. So there's some concerns there. The last 2 is going to be the problems we're going to have with construction and the influx of workers, out-of-state workers that come in. That's going to be some cultural potential problems there. But the number one most important thing for me, folks, it's going to be the legal teeth to make sure the promises that are made by these data centers are going to be not in jeopardy, and we're not going to have problems down the road, and that the problems that they promise are not going to happen really aren't going to happen. And we need to make sure we have a guarantee that that's the case before we let the data centers into our communities. So with that, hope you've enjoyed the show today. Please comment below, send me emails, text, and love to hear from you. We'll see you again next week on Open Range.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. I want to tell you, Lady Blue and I, we got a lot of miles together, but you know what? You and I got a lot of miles together as well. And all I want to do is bring to you the information on how we maintain a domestic supply of food and fuel for future generations. So I'm going to continue to travel the world and unearth the stories that make it possible that we can live in a free United States of America.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza. Are you dealing with arthritis, nerve and back pain, dry skin, or superficial wounds, but found no relief? Give Stewart's Natural Health a try. For over 4 decades, Stewart's Natural Health has been helping people and animals with herbal and natural oil lotions, ointments, and creams with a mission to help you relieve pain and feel your best using the power of nature. Discover the safe, drug-free solution to your pain, guaranteed or your money back. Visit stewartsnatural.health today.
We are the St. Mary Sisters. We are building a new facility here in Bismarck, North Dakota, for the sake of training young women to be courageous teachers in this state. The sisters will educate the younger generation to be fully alive through truth and discipline. The sisters' life of devotion and joy will make a positive difference in your community. Check out what we're up to, see what's going on, and join our mission to make a difference in the lives of the children of North Dakota.
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.
There's never been a better time to rediscover the style, reliability, and all-season, all-terrain fun of the all-new Nissan lineup at the new and improved Ryan Nissan. Whether it's the sleek and stylish Murano, the adventure-ready Pathfinder, or the reimagined, ready-for-anything 2026 Rogue, the all-new Ryan Nissan has the vehicle of your dreams at a price perfect for any budget. It's time to rediscover your passion for the road. It's time to rediscover the all-new Ryan Nissan, engineered to endure.
Back again with Open Range. Will Gardner, your host on the Real Estate Edition. Final segment here. We are going through how good agents deal with stressful transactions. So we've gone through a good list of how we're going to deal with transactions that are stressful. We're on number 8 here, or number 7. So one of the things that I was going to bring up is, and one of the transactions I had, I think it was last year, there was a situation a couple times where my clients were hurt by the buyer or the seller, and this actually happened after the closing of the sale, where there was something that came up, and it had nothing to do with either realtor or anything that could have probably even been prevented, and my client was just upset, and obviously they weren't at me, but sometimes I say you just have to just shut up and listen. And a lot of times that's hard for a person like me, because I like to help solve problems. And sometimes the best thing a person can do is just be quiet and listen and have empathy. And I say that with all sincerity, is they just want to be heard. And so having an agent who's good at just listening, a person doesn't have to flap their mouth in order to make someone feel good. Sometimes I feel bad when every once in a while I'll go to my broker and I'll have something that's on my mind, and really I'm not looking for them to solve my problem. I mean, I just need them to listen, right? Like I just need you to hear me out. I just need you to be a friend and listen. And there's no blame on anybody. It's simply just having that humanity part of it that AI can't give you. So that was the next one. Another one is new listings. This is when you're about to list your home, it can be very stressful. And I sometimes I think about, well, if I have, if I had to list my home, who would I go with if I lived in a different city or different state, or I didn't know anybody, or I knew very few people. Sometimes I think about this when I'm looking for a plumber or electrician that I guess I know all those people now, but if I was into a business area that I simply had no idea who to call, it's very difficult to give to know if I'm trusting the right person, and so that's very stressful. It can be very stressful. And so one of the things that I think is important, and this is maybe something for a buyer or seller that you should think about, is you should not be in a position of fear. So if an agent is pushing you to list because of fear, you're not dealing with the right person. You should not be forced to go with someone because of fear. And so, like, someone says, well, you can't do this yourself, or I'm not going to go into all the different reasons. The best way an agent should be approaching you is through a message of positivity, through an approach that is proactive, that is solutions-driven, solutions-oriented. And really, like, if someone wanted to sell their house themselves, I always think, well, you should definitely try that if you're, and sometimes I'll say, just want to make sure, are you sure you can handle this, this, and this, and this? But it's not under, there's a different way of saying that versus like, you'll never be able to do this, or you can't do that, or that agent can't do that. Like, those are negative things that, it's fine to point out the negative, not saying that, but when you're doing it to leverage somebody into fear, that's wrong. And so, and it creates an enormous amount of stress. And sometimes people feel that acquiescing to that stress is the only way that they're going to calm the situation down. So just be careful. You want to make sure you're not dealing with the realtor who's going to put more stress in your life by overriding you. Sometimes like the perception is going to be less stress, and so that's why people choose it. Like, well, if I choose this route, I'm just going to say yes and back off. No, you want to be in charge of your decisions. You want a partner who's going to be in guiding you and helping you through the process, not just making you choose something out of fear. It's good to have an agent with some tenacity and someone who's going to want to push hard for the right things and guide you the right way. But at the end of the day, the realtor should always be respecting your opinion. The next one is in losing negotiations. So one other thing that I've realized is that it's really important for agents to understand that you can actually make things less stressful for your client by just being open and honest about what's going to have to happen. A lot of times, even when it comes to my commission, when I say, well, this is my commission, and there's always this fear that, oh shoot, they're gonna come across as negative, that's gonna be stressful. Really, agents who are upfront and forthcoming excuse me, with their commissions and any other things that are stressful for agents to bring up, that honesty is actually probably the least stressful part. There's a phrase that I'm Catholic, so one of the phrases I'll use is, don't deny people suffering, don't deny them their cross. And so people know that there's suffering and that there's hard things that are going to have to happen throughout the process of buying or selling a home. Don't deny them what they're going through. There is definitely hard parts of a transaction. I think by and large the experience is pretty good, but there are parts of it, there are points of it that can be stressful. And so it's really important that as an agent, the agents are recognizing some of the pain and the struggles that someone's going to have to go through when they are going through the process. Another one is know what you can control, and this is another Catholic reference, is we call it the serenity prayer. Lord, grant me the strength to do the things I'm not going to say the prayer right correctly on the spot, but grant me the strength to do the things I can to give me the strength if I can't get there, and then know the difference when I know the difference between not being able to do something about it and then praying when I don't have the ability to do something, and knowing the difference when to do each one. So know what I can control, essentially. That's what that boils down to, is if I can control it, then I take action. If I can't control it, then we need to have patience, and we need to just have that internal peace, knowing that we've done everything we can do. Sometimes we feel helpless. Maybe an example of this is when you have 5 offers, and if I'm representing a buyer with 5, and I have done everything, and I've scrutinized everything to make that offer just look amazing to a seller, not just the price, but every page of those 10 pages of the contract, making sure that it all looks fantastic. And after I'm done with that, I'm at peace, right? I know at that point I've done everything I can do. It's out of my control. And knowing that it's out of my control and that I've done everything and I've done my best and done a good job is to encourage my buyers. It's all in God's hands. You need to be able to just let go of it at that point and just know that you've done your best. Another one is I just have a couple clients now that are going through some health issues, and this reminds me of the footsteps prayer. The poem or the prayer with the footsteps on the beach is 2 sets of footprints, and then when it gets to the hard, hilly parts in life that are really hard, there's only 1 set of footprints, and God said, well, it's there that I carried you. Because the person's thinking that they're walking alone, that Christ was walking with them, and then it gets to the top of the hill, and then now they're walking alone. Love that prayer. Just when you feel like you're alone in life, you're not. And so just realize how fortunate you are that your health could be always gone and taken away from you, that things could be much worse in your life. And I think that is another way of calming down and getting things to a more peaceful part of a transaction when you're stressed out. Just remember that at some point it's out of your control, out of your hands, and that things could be a lot worse. And I'm not trying to say that you should lower the bar in your life. I'm just saying that at some point the stress is too much. That's how you get back to normalcy. It's just amazing. Sometimes I think about, I'll see the war going on in Ukraine or whatever, and I'll think, man, I'm so glad I don't live there. And I think, God, everything else here, it's not too bad. And so sometimes you need to trick yourself into thinking that in order to calm yourself down, because ultimately being at peace is so important as part of one of the more stressful, not maybe stressful, but the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make in your life. A couple other ones is keeping up communication. A lot of times my clients will be stressed just because it's been a day or two since I called. So sometimes I'll call and simply saying, I'm calling just to let you know I don't have any new news for you. I reached out to A, B, or C, or I reached out to the lender or whatever. We're still waiting for that appraisal to come back in. Sometimes it's just checking in and just having that touch, because if you don't have that touch as an agent, if an agent's not giving that information to the buyer's assuming the worst, oftentimes. And sometimes you have somebody's positive thinking, okay, I guess it might be fine. But in the back of their mind, they're still thinking, so giving them communication, the fact that you're saying there's nothing going on or nothing's happened is actually something. So that's something that can really help make things at ease in your mind with the transaction. And the last one I'd like to bring up is sprinkling in a little humor. And I don't lead with this, but sometimes you get to a point where you've been thinking too long on a decision and you just need a little levity. You just need a little bit of humor to relax the body. I mean, we're not AI bots, we are human beings, and when we are tensed up and we're tightened up and we automatically, our bodies become more tightened, and then our minds become more constricted, and then we make bad decisions, we hyperventilate, so just adding some levity, some humor, some laughter is a great way to help you overcome that stress that's in your body during this transaction. So thank you for being here for this episode. We'll be back again next week on Open Range Real Estate Edition. Looking forward to see you then.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. Join me on the trip and unearth the stories on how we maintain a domestic supply of food and fuel for future generations of American citizens like our forefathers did.
$27,000 in credit card debt.
You have to radically do something different, because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Come on in and experience small town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car. Whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute, we have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and the team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. The Set Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Hello, friends. This is Culture Crossroads. Join me, Andrew Southbridge, and my co-hosts, R.C. Williams and Juliana Ormond, as we tackle the issues shaping America. From politics to pop culture, to faith, freedom, family, and the future. From a faith-based conservative perspective that you won't get anywhere else. We stand at the intersection of faith and freedom. This is Culture Crossroads. Culture Crossroads. Sundays at 5 p.m. Central on Beck TV.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza.
Hi, I'm Scott Hennon, host of the What's on Your Mind program on Beck TV now. From Baker, Montana to St. Cloud, Minnesota, and everywhere in between. We're looking forward to having a conversation with you about what matters most. We're talking to newsmakers, from members of Congress to the state legislature, and most importantly, the good folks that make up the great state of North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana. Every single day, you get a chance to tell us what's on your mind. And now you can watch What's on Your Mind live on Beck TV.
Hey, I'm Corey Heppola, and a long time ago, I left my small town for a big city. Now, I wonder, what would it be like to move rural?
Just because we're small doesn't mean we can't have nice things.
So, I'm traveling to different small towns across the Midwest to find out.
It's
like every year in the spring, there's always like a revitalization of just excitement.
This is my town.
Pull! Oh, jeez!
Sunday night, 6:30 on Beck TV.